Welcome back to PRN Test Drive. I'm James, and this is the 2024 Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S. Now, this obviously isn't your run-of-the-mill CLA because the AMG takes it up a level, but that S at the end of the name really kind of puts things into perspective. This thing feels like a road legal race car. They have squeezed an absolute crazy amount of performance out of the engine here. Speaking of the engine, we have on board a 2-liter handcrafted inline-4 turbocharged engine, and I know there's going to be some haters for that. I know a lot of people that are a fan of AMG, and when they put the 2-liter in there, they call it the AMG Light. But make no mistake, this thing's got some serious horsepower. 416 horsepower to be exact, 369 pound-feet of torque. That is crazy numbers, and the way this exhaust sounds and the way that the driving feels, it feels like there's a whole lot more than just 416 horsepower in here. Now, I've also got an 8-speed automatic AMG SpeedShift, which is just a fancy word for a really quick dual clutch transmission. And when I say quick, it's not an exaggeration. This thing is lightning quick on the shifts. Matter of fact, Mercedes says this thing will do 0 to 60 in 4.1 seconds. It's lightning fast. When I take you for a drive, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So you are going to pay a pretty penny for this vehicle. They definitely aren't giving it away, but it is so special that it might just be worth the price point. We're looking at a price point of around $90,000 Canadian. So first, we start with the front end as usual. Check this out. Daytime running LEDs, automatic high beams, looks phenomenal. The entire front end just looks aggressive, ready to run, ready to pounce, ready for the track or the street. I just love it. And this red paint color, you can't go wrong. So I've also got a Mercedes-AMG badge right here, another one right here. My badges are not going to be blacked out here because of the fact that I don't have the night package, but I've got parking sensors. I've also got the front-facing camera, 360-degree camera on this thing, really high quality, really high quality sensors too. I'm never annoyed by them. This thing is so easy to park, and you're gonna want that because, I mean, it costs a lot of money, so you need the best sensors and parking cameras that money can buy. This one's got you covered. I've also got some fake vents right next to me on the side, but the ones in the middle are very much real. There is a lot of cooling that's going on because, like I said, they have squeezed every ounce of performance that they can out of this smaller form factor engine. And even so, it runs really hot. Like when I opened it for the first time, just after kind of, driving it, I opened it up just to look at the handcrafted engine, just with my own eyes, not filming or anything. And it was hot. The amount of heat coming off this engine, even now, as I touch the hood in the sun, is probably not making it any better, but there's actually metallic heat shields. Like, it is some serious cooling solutions going on in here. But I mean, the car runs phenomenally. I've been pushing it in the heat pretty much all week, and it's been no warnings. It hasn't been overheating. I'm just trying to tell you that it does run quite hot, which is really cool though, because this thing's a beast. All right, next up is the side profile for the CLA 45S. I love the way this thing looks. It's got kind of like almost like a bean shape. It's very round when it comes up to the pillars here and kind of continues through, but it looks really sporty. You can see how low the ride height in this thing is. You can see there's not a lot of space between the body and the actual wheel here, which, by the way, these are 19-inch rims, really nice AMG logo. This is the standard rims that it comes with. We've also got the nice brake calipers there with the AMG logo because, we have to know everywhere that we're driving an AMG. Also, the Turbo 4MATIC Plus, which indicates to us that, of course, this thing is all-wheel drive. Now, I do have some chrome bits here, which some of you might not enjoy, but personally, with the red paint color, the chrome really does stand out well, and it's surprisingly easy to keep clean, and it's very shiny. It adds that extra little lens flare, if you will, to your car, and I think it's really cool. But of course, that would be something easy to kind of do a chrome delete right here and black it out if you weren't a fan of that. Now, I've also got nice turn signal LEDs. I've also got cameras in the mirror. I've also got one-touch lock and unlock doors. Very easy, but it is a sensor, so not sure how that's going to go in the winter, but so far here in the summer, no problem whatsoever. And yeah, I really enjoy it. You can see like just how tall when I stand up straight. I'm pretty much taller than this vehicle, so you can see how low it truly is. But like I said, road legal race car, so kind of fits the bill. So last but certainly not least, for the Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S, you can see all the badges there, is the rear end. And what an aggressive rear end it is. I mean, look, these really nice tail lights here stand out. They wrap right around the body, blend really nice with the red. I don't have any aerodynamic package, but there is some available where you can kind of get more of a wing going on here. I have, you know, a very simple one, but I'm sure it does the job effectively. Like I said, this thing feels like an absolute rocket ship. It's unbelievable. I've also got backup cameras, parking sensors here as usual, as well as these nice quad exhaust pipes here. All of them have an engraved AMG logo on them as well. I really love that attention to detail. I love that touch. I am such a fan when manufacturers do that. You can kind of see like the double split here between the things. It just looks really cool. And also we have a nice and blacked out diffuser there. Man, this thing looks ready to go. So let's check out trunk space because, you know, this is a smaller sedan, but we actually have surprisingly a good amount of trunk space. It's not an automatic open and close tailgate, but it pops open. So I'll take it for that, which is really good. But I was actually able to fit my entire stroller. It is quite of a big stroller that I've got. So for parents and stuff like that have like one kid, you're gonna be able to fit your stuff in here really easily actually. And then like you'll see on the interior, I have my baby seat installed there too. So you can have a road legal race car and actually have a family because your trunk space is gonna fit too. But as I mentioned the inside, let's hop in the back. All right, so now we are sitting in the back seat of the AMG CLA 45S. And I've actually got enough room. I was really not expecting that much room because you can see from the outside, front end's a lot bigger than the rear end, so we also have a lot of trunk space, so you assume that you're gonna trade off some rear space, and honestly, not really. The way that Mercedes have done this, they've really been efficient with space here. Like I'm sitting behind my driver profile, which is an awesome looking seat, by the way. You're gonna love to see that in a second here. But I can fit my knees here, no problem. I've got some foot room here, just enough. Like if I kind of angle my foot up, I can hit the bottom of the driver's seat, but it's not a big deal. I've got enough headroom here as well, where I'm kind of touching it because the roof is a really sloping back roof like I just showed you, but still I'm fitting no problem. Also the material of the seat, nice Alcantara kind of trim here. It's actually really comfortable. You kind of got like the racing seat headrest thing, so you know this thing is serious. I've got vents back here, even 2 of them. No automatic climate control, so I don't have my own climate back here, but I do have vents at least, and 1 USB-C port, so I'll take that too. Also, like I said, baby seat fits no problem. We've got red seat belts, so you can't complain about that. I've also got a little cup holder guy that's gonna fold down here for us and have no problem there. So really, this can be used as like a daily driver, a family commuter. It just happens to be extremely fast, and hey, I'm here for that. Let's hop up front. All right, so now we're in the business end, the front seat of the CLA 45S. Oh man, what a place to spend time. I mean, just look at the interior of this thing. It just looks racy. Let's start with the seats. So the seats are the optional racing seats. You do not have to go with these seats and you can still get the CLA 45S. It's not something that comes automatically. But honestly, if I was to get the CLA 45S, I'm getting these racing seats because they just look mean. You can see that on the seats here, we have this nice red trim everywhere, this kind of red stitching, red accents everywhere. And then we also have a little AMG logo on them, and they're absolute bucket racing seats. The only thing that you're gonna trade off there is the fact that, well, there's not a lot of padding in the back. I am basically sitting on the seat, and that's it. Like, there really isn't a lot of padding. There is a heavy amount of bolstering, and this thing can really squeeze you tight so that when you're flying around track, drifting, whatever you decide to do in this thing, you're gonna be able to do it and not move out of your seat, because this thing has so much power that if it didn't have these racing seats, I'd be worried about when I'm taking fast corners that it would just send me into the passenger seat while I'm driving. So it's good for that. We've also got these little kind of leg adjustments. So I find it comfortable because I don't think I'm at an age where, you know, I'm having a lot of back problems, but I think people with back issues or maybe different size issues would maybe have a problem with these seats. But for me, I'm buying it exactly like this. Now we can move to the steering wheel. Got nice Alcantara trim. Again, that is an additional add-on that you're gonna have to pay for. I've got these haptic feedback touch buttons. Some of you are gonna absolutely hate that and you're gonna prefer the physical buttons. I understand it. Usually I am there too, but I really like Mercedes' design here. I can interact with essentially the entire car with just my fingers here. And if it has to be touch buttons, so be it. If that's the only way to integrate it, so be it. I'm okay with it. I really like it. And then I've got kind of these 2 dials down here where I can have kind of quick selection stuff. And you can customize that in the infotainment where I can bring up my camera quickly. I can change my suspension quickly. I can go from manual mode to automatic. in a flash with these little buttons here. You can change everything. There's so much that you can do with this little kind of dial here, and then the dial over on the right is going to be your drive mode selector. So we got individual, sport mode plus, race mode, and we also have a wet and slippery mode. I'll talk about all those when we take it for a drive. I've got the gear shifter here on the side. Personally, I'm usually more of a fan of like a button thing. I'm not sure how I feel about the stock thing, but it does work and it's completely fine. And you're just gonna have to be careful because, you know, there's not a big indicator on what gear you're in here, but usually when you're driving automatics, it doesn't matter. It always is on the right-hand side of your digital gauge cluster, which has a bunch of different themes. You got track themes, different AMG themes. I've also got a heads-up display that also has its own themes that you can kind of play around with. I usually use the classic one. That's the one I go with, but I like the customizability here. Now on the side of the door here, I've got frameless windows, which look really, really cool. Hopefully they don't freeze in the winter. I've had some vehicles in the winter with frameless window absolutely freeze, and it makes me scared to drive them because I don't want stuff coming in. But so far in the summer, no problem. I love them very much. I love the side of the door here where we've got kind of like this Alcantara trim again with the red stitching. Also this kind of brushed metallic silver looks really good. I do have heated seats here, no ventilated seats. That is going to be an additional option that my tester does not come with. But I do have 3 levels of memory seating here, and of course you can control the seats on the side of the door, which is very standard for Mercedes. I've got a Burmeister surround sound system in here too, which, oh boy, if you've had a Mercedes sound system before, you know what I'm talking about. Now let's move on to the infotainment display. It's the MBUX that you're used to seeing. I've showed it to you a few times now in the Mercedes, and I believe Niall and Victor have all seen this. So it's built-in navigation, wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. I can change my ambient lighting. I can change my seat comfort from here. That's where I'm gonna adjust my bolstering and stuff like that. I can access, you know, my dash cam, which is an additional option as well. But since I have the AMG, I have the Track Pace app, and I also have a performance app. Now the Track Pace app, it's got different track layouts, it's got drag mode settings, it's got a whole bunch of different stuff for the track specifically. You're not supposed to use that on the road, obviously. Settings are very easy to access. You know, there's not a lot to go over them, but you know, you kind of got your convenience settings that you can go through, but it's all very easy. Nothing is hidden, nothing is buried. I didn't find like anything I found like I wanted to change. I was able to do it very easily using this infotainment display. Now, we've also got 3 vents down here. Love them. They're the circular vents that you see on a lot of Mercedes. I like the fact that, you know, the ambient lighting kind of changes when I knock up the temperature. Like say I'm going from cold to hot, it'll go red. If I'm going from hot to cold, it'll glow blue for a second. Very cool little touch. I like that stuff. I've got a couple of physical buttons here, so not everything is touch buttons, so that's very nice to see. Dual automatic climate control, very good, no complaints there. I usually leave it on auto because the one in the Mercedes is actually quite good. It'll lower the fan speed when you go on the phone and stuff like that, so it's very, very cool stuff. Now I've also got my engine start button here, and you've got the auto start and stop button that you can just turn off right below it. So you can kind of go 1, 2, boom, but you could also turn that off with your drive mode. So usually I drive an individual, that is always off. Now just below this, I've got some storage. Right down here, you can leave some stuff here. I've got a USB-C plug, which I can use for my phone, 2 cup holders, standard stuff. The dynamics button, which is that's where you're gonna customize your drive modes and kind of see what drive mode will do what. So that's very cool too. I've got a parking camera button. This thing can park for itself. It can do everything on its own. There is an abundance of parking angles. It's also gonna give you like this kind of chase camera parking angle when you're trying to park. This thing is easy to park. It's just, you've got every angle imaginable. I can't imagine you hitting stuff when you have this many cameras. Now, a little bit of like kind of storage, maybe you can leave a wallet or like keys here if you want. It's just kind of like this tactile kind of feel. Storage in here too. It's actually quite deep, which I like, and we have 2 USBs here. And then over what the passenger sees, it's this nice kind of AMG design right there. I love the overall like design here. Nothing is boring. There's enough split of materials here. There's a lot of nice stitching. It is a lot of black. It is a lot of like the same color, but I feel like the red stitching and kind of the redness of the seats really kind of brings that alive. Now, one thing also I found cool, a little convenience feature that Mercedes has. So say it's dark outside and the door is closed, but I need to get something in the passenger seat, or I've dropped something on the floor. It has a sensor right up here that once I kind of slide my hand this way, it'll turn on just the right side light so that I can see what I'm doing. And as soon as I take my hand away, the light goes off again. Very cool convenience feature. I absolutely love it. So that's going to do it for the interior. Like I said, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter what the interior looks like because Oh my goodness, the way this thing drives. Let me show you that. Let me mount that GoPro up. Let's get right into that. All right, on the road now, 2024 Mercedes-AMG CLA 45S, and what a week I've been having. Like, it's gone so fast because I've been having so much fun with this thing. What a special opportunity it is to drive a Mercedes like this. Like I said in the beginning, say what you will about the small form factor engine, Mercedes have squeezed this thing to the absolute teeth. I think it is one of the best tuned 2-liter inline fours on the market, and I don't even think it's close. I just think that they've done such a good job. And yes, you are absolutely going to trade your ride quality for performance. This thing is a stiff suspension, a stiff ride, even in comfort mode, even with the adaptive suspension in comfort mode. Like right now I'm driving in my individual mode where I have everything dialed up to 11 as high as it can go, but I have my adaptive suspension in comfort mode and I'm still feeling every bump, like, you know, every big bump that is. Like the small ones, I mean, you know, the comfort suspension does kind of help, but the second you put it into race mode, it's kind of all gone out the window. But again, do I care? Absolutely not, because you'll see in just a second here, this thing's an absolute little demon. So I'm in, like I said, I'm in individual. Let me turn us into race mode, which gives us a lot of leeway. Turns a lot of stuff off, allows the transmission to just go crazy, and allows the tires to slip a little bit under heavy loads. So you can really get away with a lot of stuff here in the race mode. So let's give it some beams. Oh my God, and I hesitated there because there was a cyclist. Whoa! Oh my goodness. It's damn scary. And I mean, you could hear the exhaust just absolutely blasting its freaking face off. Oh yes, sir. I love that so much. And that's what I mean when I do not care about comfort in those moments, because I'm too focused on staying on the road and, you know, looking where I'm going, that if I feel a bump go through my spine, probably not going to notice it, you know. But obviously on long trips, on long road trips and stuff, that might become a problem for some people. But for me, you know, I've spent over 16 hours in this vehicle. The Mercedes is keeping track of it. I reset it the second I got into it. I've spent 16 hours in this vehicle. My back does not hurt. My bottom does not hurt. Nothing is uncomfortable. I've spent quite a bit of time just today because I've been doing a bunch of filming today, and really I am comfortable. Like, you know, you just got to adjust the way that you sit, kind of adjust the seat accordingly, and you can make it pretty comfortable. Like, you can make it work if you really need to. And like I said, this is a special CLA 45. The S makes it very special. I think it also makes it kind of rare because I just don't see, first of all, I don't see any new CLA 45s out in the wild. I really haven't seen any, but the S plus the AMG just makes it a whole other level of just, you're driving something very special. And I think that's why, you know, I would even consider one of these, is just because it's a very special, you know, model, as I just get away from another Mercedes owner that's passing me on the road. So, you know, it's crazy. It's just, they just don't make them like this anymore. Like I said, I love my EVs. Maybe, you know, the Mercedes EV design is a little strange, I'll say that. But definitely their horsepower and their engine designs and their combustion engine designs, they've got that still on lock. There's not many people that hold a candle to Mercedes when it comes to just raw performance. And you know, you'll be surprised to hear that I showed you, you know, a small compact SUV Mercedes-AMG, and this is a lot more comfortable than that. I felt like I was feeling the bumps a lot more, and that didn't come with the racing seats. That came with just the comfort seat. So I feel like, you know, the racing seats kind of do help that along quite a bit, just because, you know, you're kind of held in place, right? Your body doesn't have much room to move around. So that means, like, you know, your bones and different stuff like that, it's not being jostled because you're very much being held into the seat, which I think is really important. Now, if you think the automatic mode was fun, let me show you this manual mode. That's really, really fun here. So we're gonna get through this red light here, give the traffic a little bit of space because this thing will catch any kind of traffic really, really quickly. And the beams. First gear pull, shift up. Oh my God. And you can go all the way to that 7,000 RPM red line with no hesitation. There is no limiting it. It doesn't want you to stop. It wants you to keep going. And that's another thing. Like, this car is not meant to be driven slowly. When I'm in comfort mode, or when I have the engine in what they call the reduced mode, so when you're in, like, you know, winter and wet mode kind of thing,
it just feels like it's holding back. And then the second I turn the engine into any type of sport mode, it's just like, yes, let's go. This car is always on 10 all the time. It's always on tilt. It wants to be shifted. It wants to be revved out. And that is the magic, I think, of the CLA 45S. It just wants to go, wants to fly. Honestly, this week, I feel like it just wants to put me in jail because I can't stop just doing that. There's no stopping me. Can't help it. It's just like, I can't stop doing it. I love the manual mode. The manual mode's not taking control over me very much at all, other than like when you go down into first gear, sometimes it won't let me do it too early, which makes sense. First gear is quite a rev happy range there, but still I'm able to kind of control my gears. I can see what gear I'm in without even looking at the gauge cluster because I've got the heads up display, which is showing me my rev limit and also what gear I'm in at all times. So I like that too. Visibility is also pretty good here. Although we are very low to the ground, I still feel like I can see everything around me. Of course, I've got the cross traffic alert. I've got all the driver safety assistance that you could need. But honestly, like visibility, even the smaller back window that we have there is very good. I don't feel a need for a digital rear view mirror here. I can see everything very well. Handling is also really dialed in. I really feel like I have a lot of control over the vehicle. Like I said, race mode does allow for a little bit more wheel slippage and stuff like that. But really, like when I'm sliding, if I ever am sliding, Mercedes, I don't do any sliding. I just feel like I can control it. I feel a lot of good feedback from the steering wheel. And again, I'm assisted by these racing seats. I'm assisted by feeling the road a lot. And I love the feel of this Alcantara steering wheel. This trim is really nice. I am just an absolute little demon in this thing, and I feel like it could absolutely tear up a track. But again, road legal race car. That's what I'm calling this thing. It just feels racy all the time. Like I said, it's always on 20. It's just excellent. Handling is really good. It can drift around if you wanted to. I don't do that because I don't want to ruin the tires for the next guy. I also don't want to wrap myself around a tree. And it's a good thing that I am the ripe age of 28 years old, because if you give this vehicle in this specific trim to a 20-year-old James, he's not alive or wrapped around a tree or in jail for 20 plus years for reckless driving. I'm glad that I'm a little bit older now because I'm a little bit more dialed back. And I kind of, I got a kid and all that stuff. So, I'm a little bit more careful, but oh my goodness, it's a good thing that they don't give these things away, because 20-year-old me would have been an absolute nuisance. So I don't want to wrap this up, but I think that about covers everything. It is a driver-focused AMG. It is a very special car. If you're into that kind of thing and you're willing to give up ride quality in trade of performance and just pure speed, you will absolutely not be disappointed. Don't let the 2-liter inline-4 fool you. Mercedes have squeezed this thing to the absolute T. It is absolutely juice. It is absolutely powerful, and you will not be disappointed. And I know people are gonna look at you when you go, it's only a 2-liter inline-4. But sit behind the wheel. It feels like a lot more than 416 horsepower, and I don't even think the competition comes close. Mercedes have tuned this thing excellent. It's a very much a tuned AMG vehicle, and I love it. So if this has helped you make your buying decision at all, or if it's just showed you what it's like to actually drive around in one of these crazy tuned Mercedes vehicles, you gotta leave a like. You've also gotta subscribe. We've got plenty more where this has come from. This thing is just phenomenal, and if you want to see more phenomenal cars, PRN Test Drive is the place to do it. We've got so many videos every single week. Make sure to turn on the bell notification. With that being said, I will see you in the next week. See you in the next car. Take care.